Hi. Are you kidding me? Hi, I'm your host, diondre, back at it again with another episode of Diondre's News. And you're probably like,
DeAndre, what is the point of this?
well, this is an economics project, and we are going to be talking about all the current events. And before we get into this, I just want to clarify that I am wearing a Balenciaga, Gucci suit. As you can tell by this Minecraft's cow with a suit.
Okay.
So before we get into the current events, I just want to go to the weather because I want to know what's going on, you know? Oh my god, the weather is so bad. How could I ever get out of this terrible place? Okay, so it turns out he's just not doing good, so we're gonna go straight into the current events.
Okay, bet.
Segueing from weather into more weather, our first current event actually deals with geology. And actually, to be more specific, it deals with, guess what? You guessed it, weather. Okay, so according to an article by the Weather Channel, President Donald Trump has never been briefed in regards to the issue of climate change. And I know what you're saying.
Isn't that, like, impossible?
Well, yeah, like that shouldn't be the case. President Donald Trump has never been briefed on the issue of climate control by the NOAA chief, Timothy Gallaudet. This may seem as a shock, primarily because the former chief of NOAA actually briefed President Barack Obama about the issue of climate change, and it's something that's a pressing issue globally and something that needs to be changed immediately. These issues actually give us some, thick insight into, how this climate change thing could actually affect our economy. By delving in and doing some conclusive research on climate control, climate change, and global warming
around the entire world,
I was able to find a study by Stanford University that actually addressed this issue and actually kind of did some research about how this global climate change thing could actually affect our economy. According to the study by Stanford University, global GDP would decline by 30% from 2010 standards, something that is actually very drastic and something that needs to be changed. And basically, GDP is basically the sum of consumption, net exports, government spending, and investments in an entire country within a year. The sum of all those items will decline if we don't address this issue of climate control. Okay, so our second current event is pretty much surrounding the education system. Basically, Richard Fisher says, a former president of the federal... The next current event that we will be talking about on DeAndre News is the fact that Richard Fisher, former president of the Federal Reserve Bank in Dallas, says that the current educational system in America is the biggest economic threat to our economy. According to some data from Seattle PI, this actually could be correct. When states lose income, often the first cuts to their budgetary plan is the education system. And this is a flawed way to go about things, and it needs to be addressed. Obviously, something that's very important to the education system is our teachers. Having a high influx in frictional unemployment can also undermine our unemployment rate and increase teacher layoffs, nationwide. Taking this back to Richard Fisher, I think he's absolutely right about this whole educational system being, hurtful to our economy. Because
let's face it, guys, our education system isn't doing that good.
Hi, my dudes. We're back with another current event. Sorry. Okay, so the next current event deals with something that is highly important to our economy. Space travel.
And you're probably like, DeAndre, how is space travel
helping our economy? Well, I'm gonna get to that so you can calm down, you know what I mean? Basically, there's been a lot of talk about, sending people into space. According to CBNC, Virgin Galactic is taking the necessary steps into increasing our, grasp on actually reaching the cosmos. And speaking about, reaching out to space, actually going to space has a lot of economic benefits. According to a lot of articles online, I found that introducing more initiative into country space programs actually have a benefit on the economy by creating jobs such as engineering, technology. This is not just on a small scale. This is also on a big scale. By creating these jobs, we're actually improving the stability of our economy, and we are reducing the we are reducing the unemployment rate of our nation, which is something that is always good for an economy. This can also increase GDP
by a whopping tenfold.
You know why? Because you're increasing government spending on programs that are actually benefiting the economy. And you are also introducing different products. If we actually start space mining, guys, that could actually benefit us
so much.
We would have an influx in consumption, also an influx in investments. We would have so much. It would do so much good for our GDP that President Donald Trump is literally quaking. So maybe, venturing out into the cosmos isn't such a bad thing after all. Oh my God. Oh, looky here. This must be the last current event. I am just so hyped. I'm actually really hyped. I want to get out of here. But we're not going to talk about that. For our last current event, I will be asking you guys a question. Are you ready for the financial crisis of 2019? The answer to that is probably not, because that's not a good thing,
That's not good for us.
When people think of financial crises, they pretty much think about the Great Depression.
Greatly depressed.
Obviously, the Great Depression was caused by, the stock market crash of 1929. But there are also other things that could cause current recessions. And an example of a recession that has happened relatively recently was during Bush's presidency. 2008, when Bush left office, the recession hit. And it was really bad for our economy. Well, they're saying in this article that it's actually happening again. And if you don't know what a recession is, it's pretty much
a period of time where the economy is just not doing good,
It's pretty much a decline in just overall economic performance in a country. So basically, according to this article, it says that overall stocks are down by 1.5%. And they say that this is really dangerous levels for stocks to be down, and that this is pretty much synonymous of, we're not doing good, our economy is about to crash. Is this due to President Trump, or is it due to,
I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Okay, so basically, I'm sorry that this was all chaotic and this was all over the place, but pretty much, as you can tell, this was an economic project. This was a ball to film. A freaking ball! A freaking ball! Thank you guys for watching DeAndre's News. And if you want another episode of this, don't hit my line, because I'm probably not going to make another one, Adios, guys. So before I end this video, I wanted to say that I wanted to give credit to, my beloved partner, Javier Lopez, on this economic project for doing all the research. Gang. And I also want to credit, all the people that, wrote all the articles, all those people. So that's why I wrote a bibliography. Yeah, so if you guys really enjoyed this video, you should really, subscribe. And yeah, whatever, gang, adios, gang, squad goals. So it turns out the weather is really freaking bad. Get me out of here now, please. I'm so sorry.